2, 1.
Woo!
And we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to McCoy. We have some special guests with us today. And if you guys like to introduce you guys yourselves, you're more than welcome to do so. Starting with whoever. Just say hi, you know, spill.
Hi, I'm
Yeah.
Shazaraelei.
Say it again.
Shazaraelei.
Shazaraelei.
Shazaraelei, I like it.
Yeah.
I'm Tobe. Tobe is a corner.
I'm Genie. You know me.
You already know.
Still the same old G.
Yeah.
I'm Al. Guess you guys may know me. I don't know.
Hey guys, I'm GIFShinobi. This is weird. Everybody knows what I look like now.
Hey, you're beautiful, man.
It's the best face reveal.
Hey, look, Rika's here.
Is that what you want to go by?
What's that?
Is that what you want to go by during the stream? GIF?
Gifts.
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool.
Love you too, Erica. Hi.
Yeah. Hey, Erica.
Hi.
Yeah,
hi,
favorite
hi.
And of course, Ronald
Should be
here. And so we're kicking off tonight's topic with, hey, Tony, good to see you. And so tonight's topic is coming together, having a discussion about the Asian and the Black community and pretty much finding the differences and the similarities between the two and see what we can do to kind of bridge the gap between the two cultures. Tongue-tied, yes, it happens. And so we're going to sit around, discuss, talk, chat, laugh, giggle, and of course interact with the chat that we see. We got a lot of love going on. What's up, Alan? I see Christopher, he's on there. Man, Jawbone, what's going on? You know, anybody that wants to chime in the conversation, again, as normal, post your chats, post your questions in the chat. We'll blow them up so you can see them, we can see them, and we can pretty much just go ahead and just have this conversation and just have fun with it, really, at the end of the day. So, without further ado, Genie, do you want to
Yeah,
get
sure.
us rolling?
I'll get this rolling. So let's talk about the big story of the year. The coronavirus. Yeah, I'm jumping right into that. So you have the coronavirus, which started earlier this year, actually like late 2019 going into 2020. And you had a large portion of people who started to get very violent towards Asian Americans. Asians in particular start calling it the Chinese flu, just seeing all this backlash. And I just want to ask you guys, how did that make you feel and how did you react to that? Oh, man.
Okay, go ahead, Shaz.
Well, I think for one, you can really see the biggest thing that I see is the difference with people who are wearing masks and who are not wearing masks. And the stigma behind wearing a mask. I think in my area, I'm in Virginia. A lot of people in my community are wearing masks, and that's a big plus for me. But oftentimes, just yesterday, I had somebody come over to my house to do a repair, and she was nice enough to ask me, hey, do you want me to wear a mask? You know, you just can't be afraid to say, yeah, yes, please, I appreciate it, you know? I think that's the biggest thing for me is I don't necessarily understand the non-mask wearers. That's really been the biggest thing that I've seen here is going to the store and seeing who's wearing a mask and who's not. And if you're not wearing a mask, everybody just kind of like leaves from around you.
That's good.
Oh, wow. GIF?
Kind of reminded me of when it was 9/11, if you guys remember that. During 9/11, I was in middle school during that time, and I remember it because I remember coming into my science class and people were crying and they were watching the TV, and I was like, why is everybody crying? And then on the TV, there were like these planes hitting the the Twin Towers in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why it reminded me of that is because during that time, a lot of people were attacking people of Middle Eastern heritage, right? You guys remember that? They would like literally, I would see on TV, like people would just grab people's hair, and it's literally the same thing. People are scared because I don't know, it's they don't understand or something, and they're blaming it on some I don't know. It's just it's stupid fear, I think.
I remember seeing like a bunch of those videos earlier this year of like Asians getting beat up, getting blamed for the virus, and it just like shook me to my core because I've seen like that happen to a lot of Black people in the past, but now that's happening to someone else. You kind of feel empathetic that like, wow, I can't believe that America has come this way already. And I remember the post 9/11 times and seeing the reactions to people of Middle Eastern descent. I remember having a friend in middle school who was a Middle Eastern descent, and everyone would always call him like terrorist as a joke, bomber, things like that. And makes me think like how much like this hate for people because of this virus will linger on.
Agreed. And you know, it's funny how Jeff he mentioned how it brought back to the 9/11 days. It is funny, ironic, like no lie. My first class was science class, and I remember like we were in the middle of a lesson, and my science teacher he literally stopped everything, turned on the news, and that was basically what we watched for like the rest of the class, you know. And it was shocking that a lot of people, you know, were like, wow, this is actually happening. And then, you know, we had one guy in our class that was from a Middle Eastern descent, and we didn't really pick on him because he was super smart. But at the same time, a lot of other people were kind of like, you know, looked at him and were making like little small rude jokes. It was like, really, you guys are really going to pin something that he had clearly no parts of whatsoever? And flash forward now into this present time, we still see the same thing happening. And it's like, America, when are you guys going to really wake up and understand that what's going on and what you're doing, it's hurtful, say the least. It's very much hurtful. And you're attacking a group of people that clearly has no idea what happened. They're just now coming into themselves, and they're battling themselves. And now it's like you're not even trying to remotely, you know, help in any or sort of way. You're not even trying to figure out what's going on, how can we get to the bottom of it, but you just want to point a finger and blame, and not really pick up a point the finger like, okay, this is the problem, how are we going to solve it? But then again, I mean, you look at our current administration of what's going on, it's a joke. So anything that comes out of that person's mouth is like, you really can't take that person seriously. So at the end of the day, we're left to literally fend for ourselves and for each other, because we know our government's not going to do it. And if we know that our government's not going to do it, then we got to rely on the community to kind of work together to push those differences and just find that common ground. Like, hey, you're hurting, I'm hurting. What can we do together to build each other up at the end of the day?
Oh wow, that was really deep, Ronald.
Yeah.
I wanted to switch topics up a little bit, something a little bit lighter. So, how did Andrew Yang make you feel as an Asian, to see this Asian guy come up to be president and see his skyrocket to like from nobody to top 7, top 6? How did that make you feel?
I think as like a Polynesian, more so, really, it was really special to see, growing up in Hawaii, it's predominantly Asian, it's predominantly Polynesian, and you're just like ready to just throw ourselves behind this because we're like, yes, like an Asian for president. And then when you hear actually everything that he was talking about and promoting, it was like, he's so much more than just this Asian guy running for president. And I think that's where the love for it kicked in. Because it was like, I can really believe in everything that he's fighting for, especially, when UBI was like not so much a joke anymore. Because when I heard about him, I was like, what do you mean he wants to give everybody $1,000? That's not how we're gonna, it's like everybody else. How are we gonna pay for it? But then it became a reality, and I followed the whole thing through. And honestly, it feels really special to be represented, even if it's not like, like completely something that I can identify with necessarily, like with my ethnicity. But it was enough for me, the representation in the media and everything else. And every time that he was left out of a debate or whatever, I felt that pain. What I mean? As Polynesian or as Asian, so oftentimes that's what was happening. And so it was like, even more so, the fire was lit, like, come on, get behind him, rally behind him. And then after that, I was just gang.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
So before, if like Andrew Yang did not run in 2020, would you believe that an Asian man could get as far as he did?
I kind of had
not really. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. All right. I mean,
no, that was it. I mean, now probably not.
Yeah, when the coronavirus came in, I was like, fuck. This is it for Andrew. It's like, what do you call this? Trump was saying Chinese virus and all of that, and then I was like, oh man, this is gonna be bad for Yang. I was like, this is gonna be really bad. But before that, so when it was 2018 when I discovered Yang. It was around October. I remember it because one of my dogs died. It's a sad story, but I was like, I saw this thing about this Asian guy trying to run for president. I was like, why is this guy trying to run for president? And then I looked him up, and I'm a very skeptical dude. So when I see something, I need to research everything about this guy. So I researched Yang extensively. He was a writer, he's a lawyer, the schools that he went to, the TED Talks that he did. Yeah, what else? His kids, his wife. I really did my research. So, and then I decided to do something and help him. And so what I did was I started talking to the people in the Discord, Facebook, and Twitter that's working for him. And what I noticed was that he was not getting enough attention at all. Nobody was giving him attention. There was no media for him. Like you guys saw, MSNBC was blocking him. All the mainstream media was blocking him. So I was like, this is not fair. We got to do something about this. So I was I was thinking maybe I should start producing my our own advertisement. That's when I started making GIFs. So I started getting a bunch of Andrew Yang pictures, started putting him in GIFs, started putting things about UBI in GIFs, And that's where it started. That's when I started producing all those gifts so that I can advertise Andrew Yang.
Nice.
Yeah, to be honest, the first time I saw Andrew Yang was I didn't even keep up with the 2020 election until the June debate. That was when I hey, let's go see what the Democrats are offering this time. And I saw him at this first debate, and I saw this, this kind of weird acting Asian dude that said, "I want to give everyone $1,000 a month." And to be honest, I never thought I would see him in another debate. I never thought I would ever see that guy again. But I then looked on his Breakfast Club interview from a few months ago. I found it on YouTube in an hour. But hey, let's answer this question from Meta Job Loan. Do you feel like when Yang was getting frozen out of the media, as GIFShinobi brought up, do you think it was because of his race?
Who wants to take the first whack at it? No right or wrong answers here.
I don't think his race helped. If that's if that makes sense, because I feel like there's the stereotype with Asians being excuse me, but quiet, docile, and kind of easily to be walked over, which is a sad, unfortunate stereotype. And I feel like
it's kind of true for Yang.
yeah, I do kind of wish that. I'm happy that Yang did take some action when he was saying that he doesn't want to do any MSNBC interviews at that one point, but I do feel like he should have been harder in the beginning. I do feel like he was just very nice, but I don't think his race helped, if his ethnicity helped, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't think too much of it being racial, but I would hear some of the stories that other Asians would talk about, Asian Americans in particular, and the Asian invisibility. I remember one article that, and I forgot where it was from, but it was a pretty good read about how, maybe Yang, I think it was actually the 5th debate, so it was pretty far in, and how he got so little time, and it basically related the Asian visibility stereotype to the debate, and then I think in general, how he had sort of been treated by different media outlets. So they had some parallels, and I was like, okay, I can see where they're coming from. And I just thought it was very ironic, given it's a Democratic Party and they're supposed to value diversity so much, until of course you're not, I guess, mainstream candidate, and you're not, funded by the big donors. Then, oh yeah, all of a sudden we're not gonna give this guy as much airtime or prefer him. So I was like, okay, well, you really have the only Asian candidate. And at one point I was like, is he going to be a person of color or not? And that was a whole different messy debate.
It's
which actually kind of intersects with some of Black community stuff. But yeah, I was like, it definitely, like Elle, you said, doesn't help. It's really bad, really bad optics that he wasn't really treated the same, given the fact that he's also minority. And it's just like, oh, the Dem Party,
Right.
But yeah.
And another thing that they would do, which pissed me off, is they kept getting his name wrong. It was hard. He has
that was the worst. How do you? It was a new name every week,
right? Or a new face.
That part, new face.
Yeah, that was just really bad, really sad. It's dude, have you heard of Google? It almost seemed
Didn't we have a president with the name Andrew already?
Yeah.
Jackson.
Yeah.
I feel like we had two. Did we have another Andrew? I don't know. But yeah. Who is doing I don't know if the designers were just I don't know, just having a field day. It's oh, these people don't care about me. Let me just put in the wrong face and they're not gonna notice. They don't care. And that whoever that designer was right. They did not notice and they did not care until they called
out on it.
Yeah, until they got called out on it.
Oh man. Hey Shaz, this one is directed at you. Oh. So we talked a lot about one of the major Asian candidates that ran for president in 2020. So I think we should talk about the one from Hawaii, Tulsi, and your opinion on the way she was treated in the 2020 election, because we saw a load of crap come like aimed at her campaign, and it was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was really stupid because, like, as a veteran, if my own country attacked me like that, I would be so pissed. Because they kept calling her a Russian asset, right?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, dude, she's an officer in our government. Like, why are you doing this?
And like generally a great human being.
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of it was like the power suit, strong woman, and there were a lot of strong women up on that stage, you know, but it was like, oh, who's this little, you know, this girl from Hawaii, this tiny little island. We're not really sure if it's a state or not. Like, it's crazy. People still don't, like, it's a 50 at state, people.
Wow.
Oh, don't even get me started. But, you know, they probably looked at it and was just like, oh, that's just a territory or whatever. Like, we're not going to take her seriously, you know.
Now it's a whole last state.
I mean, I've heard all sorts of things, and I'm like, this is the 21st century, guys. You could literally Google this by now. But she definitely faced a lot, in many different ways, a lot of the same media treatment, being left out or not getting as much talking time. And honestly, it wasn't fair. She had so much to say. She had a great message. She still has a great message. I mean, I don't know anybody and like who dropped out and did more than Yang and Tulsi. I mean, really, really pushed UBI and all the other policies that they said they were going to do. I mean, those are two people who have just completely left me in awe. You know, they continue to fight for us, and I really just couldn't believe, yes, you know, the mistreatment of her during her entire campaign, really.
I remember during like before, I think it was before Iowa or before New Hampshire, they would have this town hall and they'd invite all the top candidates, but instead of like inviting Tulsi, they invited who is it? Devin Patrick or some guy.
Wow.
Tulsi ended up getting like 6% in New Hampshire. Like, that was ridiculous. You guys remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
it's like, it's almost like, how does this not feel like it's on purpose? You know, you do it so many times.
Right. No, like there was like a lot of things. Like I think there was like a climate change commercial or something, or something like that Yang was like not invited to, and like there was just like a whole bunch of like little things, and it was almost like I don't know. It's like it was like they weren't like popular enough. Like they didn't seem like they were sitting with like the popular crowd, and they just wanted to just like, oh, let's just try to get them out. They're just like little fleas that, you know, we need to like get rid of.
Almost like if you ignore them enough that we would, you know, they would get pushed out on their own.
Right.
It almost feels like revenge for what she did in 2016, you know, stepping down and endorsing Bernie over Hillary. It almost feels like she's getting backlash.
Yeah. But you know, the one thing that I admired about Tulsi was, like a lot of people have said, she held her own, you know, and she went in on attack mode, and she gave 0 F's to anybody on that stage. But at the end of the day, she showed some respect to Andrew, because she's like, okay, at least bringing something fresh to the table, some new ideas to the table. And a lot of it's workable. You know,
remember what she did to Kamala?
That part, yes.
I will never forget.
Like, yes, take her out, please. And you know, it just showed that, in my opinion, had Andrew stayed in, I will hope he would have chosen her as his VP, because of the fact that she was strong, because of the fact that she had ties to the veterans, and because of the fact that she knew what it meant to serve and knew what it meant to pretty much, you know, get the United States out of these regime wars, reckless wars, you know, and get focused back on real problems facing at home. she was all about that. And I think that would have been a really dynamic duo in the White House, and it would have been awesome. Oh, it would have been lovely. I would have voted for that ticket any day. Yes.
Yes.
Especially with what's happening right now in our country, a lot of people would have went for that. But sometimes I really feel like a lot of people of color trying to run for leadership is they're being oppressed, right? Think about it.
Say it again.
I said, I really think that people of color who are trying to run for leadership, they're being oppressed because if you look at Kamala, if you look at well, Kamala's already in the government, but if you look at all the people of color trying to run, right, it's really disheartening. And then, how do we change the country if this is always happening, right?
There's a fun fact. There's only been 10 Black United States senators in the history of America. 2 of them were on the debate stages in 2020. So there is definitely a lot of room to make the government a lot more colorful.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Not just the government, also the media, right?
Come on.
Mainstream media.
Come on. It's funny you guys brought that up because I think Alan Wilkins, I don't know if he's still here or not, but he did post a topic that's so much closer to the top, and he wanted to know what would our thoughts be as far as the government censoring speech online. Hate speech is terrible, but we don't want it to become the Chinese government censoring like dissent. But also at the same time, somebody else posted that what are our thoughts as far as what was it? As far as because it was from Tracy. I'm sorry, Tracy, if you're still here, there it goes. About how all of that impacted the younger people to get involved more so in politics and with the protests. Like, what are you guys' thoughts about those 2 aspects of what's going on, and how has it actually helped both the Black community and the Asian community to kind of like come together and to push things forward?
The Zoomers are doing their job, right? If you guys haven't seen what they did with Trump's thing in Tulsa,
Yeah,
that was funny. Like, there's gonna be millions of people, and then only
like 6,200.
Yeah.
I had a good laugh. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Still laughing.
Yeah.
And apparently, like, their jokes for like not going was like hilarious. It was like, oh, I have to take my giraffe to the vet that day.
Yeah. Giraffe.
Oh, awesome.
Have to vacuum the beach.
Yo, I'm done.
Oh man, yes.
Oh man. So I want to take this in a little bit different direction. This one's aimed at you, GIF. Growing up, how did your parents view interracial relationships?
My parents didn't care. I actually kind of went out with a lot of girls of different ethnicity. One of them was half Asian, half Black. One was white, Spanish, and then Chinese. Yeah, it's all different. I mean, my parents didn't care at all. They were hardly around.
Oh, wow. Shaz?
Well, growing up, I was raised in a multi-ethnic household, and we were, my parents are predominantly Hawaiian and Puerto Rican, and at first glance, you would never know that I'm Filipino, to be honest. And being in Hawaii, automatically people know Polynesian. They don't know maybe which one you are, but they know you're Polynesian. When I came to the mainland, it was like, oh, you're Mexican, you're Spanish, and they started speaking Spanish to me. But growing up in a Hawaiian, heavily Hawaiian family, everything, it wasn't a problem, to be honest. And we call that like hapa, half and half. And everybody is half and half and a quarter of everything, and their pinky is, a different ethnicity. So it's really not a big deal in Hawaii. It's such a different world. Like my high school, for instance, was mostly Polynesian. I mean, outside of that, hardly any other ethnicities were represented. I mean, we had Samoan, Tongan, Micronesian, Hawaiian, lots of Filipino. I mean, where I grew up, it was mostly Filipino. And where I was raised, it was all interracial. So it honestly was welcomed, if anything.
Oh, wow. And you're from Hawaii, right?
I am. I was born and raised in Hawaii. I lived there for 22 years before I moved away.
All right now.
Oh, wow. Oh, man, that's interesting.
I really think it's different on other various types of Asian people. Like Chris Math 97, he said that his parents had a bit of a thing against dating some other Southeast Asian ethnicity. Yeah. From what I know, Chinese people, Korean are the ones that have problems dating other ethnicities, because I dated a Korean girl and her dad hated me, even though I'm Asian myself. I was like, what's wrong with you?
Wow.
Are the Polynesian languages in the same family as Tagalog? Well, that's Filipino, that language, Tagalog. There are millions, hundreds of dialects, when it comes to the Filipino language.
Yeah, from what I know, Filipino is a mix of Arabian and Chinese.
Spanish too.
And yeah, Spanish too, because Philippines was conquered by the Spaniards. So my parents don't let me date. They only let me have best friends. What?
I think to go back around to your question, there are a lot of different representations. They call Hawaii a melting pot for a reason, because you can find almost every Asian or Polynesian race there and represented heavily. But like GIF was saying, some Asian countries, maybe it's cool if you date, but when it comes to marriage, that's a different story. And I think a lot of, like my family, for instance, they did not want me to hang around military, and it's kind of a big thing in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Between tourists and military, it's like stay with somebody who's local, who's raised homegrown. They want to keep it native or to Hawaii. So that was kind of a big thing, not really hitting the racial part or the ethnicity part, but just kind of like the affiliation. Like, don't date a tourist, come on, don't date military or whatnot. That was the big thing. That's just how Hawaii is.
Oh, wow. So do you guys I know this might be a little weird, but I just want to ask, is there racial tension between different parts of Asians?
Because of history, yes. So there's a thing between the Japanese and the Koreans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, big.
Because of the 50-year war. So what happened was, during that time, Japan tried to invade Korea, and what was that? Yeah, they tried to invade Korea, and then when they did that, they kind of snatched up a bunch of Korean women and brought them back to Japan and used them as what's that term? Comfort women, something like that. If you guys, yeah, that's the tension that's still happening between Koreans and Koreans are biased as F.
Well, speaking firsthand, I can't really say, but yeah, I mean, they love their culture. You know, they have a rich culture, and I mean, if you were Korean yourself, you know, it's such a, like I said, such a rich culture. I wouldn't stray away from it, to be honest. But within Hawaii, I think the culture that probably receives the most profiling or really has a problem with other Polynesian countries or races being, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, so it's mostly it's mostly the Micronesian culture. Honestly, it's a stigma. You know, they're presented as one way, and a lot of the stigma is not really worth mentioning. It's terrible. You know, either the way they dress, the way they talk, the way they look. And Hawaii in general, because we have pidgin, you know, the broken English that we all speak. You know, most people kind of look at children in general or adults in general from Hawaii and just go, oh, those guys don't really have a good education, you know, but they don't really realize that we're able to turn it on and off. You know, I can totally break out pidgin, but that's not, if I'm speaking to somebody and I want to get my point across, that's not what I'm going to use, you know, and so there's a lot of stigma behind that too.
Oh, wow. What's one stigma you really hate from both of you? Asian stigma, whatever, from your culture?
I mean, I don't hate any of them because some of them are kind of true.
I always used to come across the, oh, you're from Hawaii? Do you guys live in grass huts? And I'm like, dude, are you serious right now?
Wow!
I didn't even know that was a stereotype.
What?
Wow.
I mean, and it's still like, they'll try to pass it off as being funny, but at the end, it's just kind of irritating because I'm like, that's so funny. I've heard that like 50 million times already. Ha ha ha.
I've never heard that before, or maybe they're too scared to like tell me that.
Or like, can you like, do you do Tahitian? So you're really flexible or whatever, you know? And then it gets really weird. But
oh man,
yeah, there's all kinds of stuff, guys. There's all kinds of stuff when it comes to people talking about Hawaii. I mean,
jeez.
Oh man.
Or they all assume that we're like really big because you know people are like say sumo wrestlers or like really big Samoan dudes. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, you guys have great food, so all you guys do is eat. But that's not true at all.
I think it's just genetics. That's why we're so
It really is.
thick.
Gif, do you have a stigma that you really, I think you already answered that, didn't you?
Yeah. I don't really have a stigma that I hate because, like, I just find them humorous. And if I give attention to them, it'll just give them more power, right?
I like that.
That's a good way to look at it.
That's why, like, when people tweet bad things about Andrew Yang, I don't really like respond or anything because that's giving them more power to like for their, you know, their little comment or whatever.
Right, like you kind of know where it's gonna go if you comment.
It's basically you're advertising it more. You're spreading the negativity. That's why, like, when I see like videos of people abusing animals, even though I'm really pissed off when I see it, I just leave it alone and move on because if I like retweet it with a comment, that's just spreading the hate and then giving them more attention. It's like if they don't get any attention, right? If they don't get any attention, they wouldn't be doing it. They're just looking for attention, basically. I think that's why a lot of racist people are doing all this like flu mask, whatever, resistant to flu mask is because they want attention. That's how I see it. I don't know how, what you got. What do you guys think?
Why people are like resistant to the flu mask?
No, I mean,
The blue stripe.
You know, like people saying, "It's my body. I can't breathe because of the flu mask." I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense. There is no logic. Doctors have proven that you can breathe through a flu mask. Like, I don't know.
No, I kind of I get where you're coming from because it does make sense. It's like if they're not getting attention from someplace and they come to social media and they post all this negativity stuff, and then let's say you make a comment about it, then you retweet it and everything else. Basically, the only thing you're really doing is you're literally giving them a platform to continue to continue to spread their hate. But at the same
you're giving
time,
it more life.
Yep. And at the same time, it is like even if you do try to educate that person of why this is going on, why you should, let's say for right now, with the coronavirus, why you should wear a mask, how it's helpful, and the different doctors that have done documented studies with the petri dishes of how everything is working, you know, and why it's helpful. You want to educate that person, but at the same time, you know, the one thing that comes to mind is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink it. So if the person sees the evidence by what's happening if you wear a mask versus not wearing a mask, I mean, again, it's up to them whether or not they want to listen to it. And at the end of the day, if they listen to it, great. If they don't, okay, you know, keep it moving. Next time they post something different, you just be like, nah, I'm not gonna waste my time because obviously you're just out getting attention.
Right. They're not here to like learn. You know, they're just there just for attention and just.
Yeah, we gotta choose which ones to put attention to, just like what Erika just said. The things like what happened to George Floyd, right? We need to put attention on that because that's super fucked up and that shouldn't happen. But when it's things like some petty shit, like the mask, when with all these, I'm sorry, but Caucasian people complaining about not like being forced to wear masks, that's just nonsense. That should be ignored.
I just think in a sense they just contradict themselves and really take themselves out of the conversation all by themselves. It's really no effort at, you know, in some threads I'm just like, all right, you know, I'm gonna let that, I mean, you have that. You own that.
So Gif, I want to ask you a question directly.
Yeah, what's up?
So it's 2-3 months ago. By the way, it's Erica. But 2-3 months ago.
Yeah, what's up?
And you see this video. It's post-coronavirus world. Coronavirus craze is going on. And you see this video on social media of like a bunch of guys beating up this Asian guy. You know, go back to your country. You caused this. How do you react? Do you ignore it? Do you share it? Do you bring up the conversation? How would you approach that?
Well, when I actually saw a video like that, and I actually wanted to know more because I didn't want to jump into the conclusion that it was racism, right? And because like there's a lot of asshole Asians out there. I'm sorry, but like, so like for me personally, I was like, man, why is this happening? Why? I mean, it could be like how I concluded it was because of Trump. Because Trump's ass has been nothing but negativity about Chinese this, Chinese virus, Kung flu. He's just making it worse, right? I don't know.
So how do you react to it?
How do I react to it?
Do you ignore it? Do you share it? Because we had a conversation very similar to this with Reverend Wendy 2 weeks ago about whether or not when we see these videos of these police shootings, these murders, like should we be sharing those, or should we be sharing those because of awareness, or should we not share those because of mental health and seeing so much murder desensitize us?
It's really hard because you don't want to spread that negativity, but at the same time, you need people to be aware about the situation, right? That there are people out there bullying Asian people, and there are people out there killing Black people for no reason. It's really hard. For me, I like to investigate it some more and tell people what really happened and why this is happening. And most of the time, I end up getting really mad. I end up getting so mad. It makes me like want to go to those places and do something about it. But then at the same time, I really can't do anything because I'm just some guy who I'm just an ordinary guy.
Right. I think what the world just said, like, you need a healthy dose, that's literally what I was just thinking. Because like you know, like how I see it, it's like you might think that like maybe everyone has seen this particular video or everyone's kind of aware, but like, you know, like there are people who follow you on whatever social media platforms who probably don't know anything. Like, you know, I'm pretty sure like on Facebook, I'm probably some people's only source of news, because some people probably just go on for like memes or, you know, what have you, video games, I don't know. And then like, you know, they see like my news post about just a current event. And that's probably like their only thing, because, you know, a lot of people, you know, cut the cable cord. Nobody's really like watching TV. They're streaming things and like not really knowing what's going on. So like it definitely is like, I feel like it needs to be like a healthy dose, because, you know, you got to look out for your own mental health, like first and foremost. And then at the same time, you do have to, you know, sometimes unfortunately have to bring awareness to others who are just totally, you know, just like blissfully ignorant of things that are going on, you know, like, because like you could be some of your friends' only Asian friend, like on social media. Like you could be some of your friends
too.
Yeah, you're some of your only Black friend, you know. And then
I think it's important, like you said, and like what in the world said, that there's both. You know, part of it is informative, to keep up to date with what's going on in your community, what is going on around you, especially, but also being considerate to know that if you're being triggered by a particular thing, that it's probably not best to go out and retweet that right away. And I also don't like to retweet anything that's a couple days old just because it's already out there, and now I'm just, you know, putting it back into the conversation one more time, or potentially triggering somebody. And right now, between quarantine and every other issue, financial distress, we just need to be really considerate of each other and our mental health. And I think that checking in on each other, especially your family and friends, because we're not their only source of information. We tweet it out, but there are multiple platforms that are consistently putting out all of this negative information, the murders, you know, anything explicit, I don't really retweet, just because it's too much sometimes. But for something that I'm completely outraged by, you know, like Vanessa's case, and then like that triggered me, you know, and I was outraged, and I had to put it out there, you know, but I don't like retweet every single thing, because it's too much. You know, it's too much. It's like you both said, you need to have a balance. And really, if your feed or the people around you are retweeting, you probably don't need to retweet that over and over again. You know, just to be a little bit considerate.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Especially if it has like 160,000 retweets or something. It's like, yeah,
somebody's seeing it.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, chances are they've probably seen this.
I think about the like current second, third graders, like the people that Erica would teach, and like in thinking that these like 9, 10-year-olds, like their whole lives, like a lot of them have Twitter accounts and Facebook accounts, and a lot of them have seen a lot of these gruesome murders. And it's just going to be really weird to watch for the future how witnessing all of these murders on social media, especially the Zoomers, it's probably why they go so hard, to see like the impact they will have on the youth that's being exposed to all of this murder and death and blood on social media, and how that will affect their mental health in the future.
True. Because I believe in that stream we talked about 2 weeks ago with Reverend Wendy, that was the one thing that she stressed about was like, okay, we all know that we got to go to the doctors, we got to get our health checked and everything else, and then sometimes you know, we got to go and get our teeth done, get that checked. But she's like, you know, the more important thing is to make sure that you get your mental checked out because of everything that is going on, you know. And even if you still do have a collective few people around to kind of like you could bounce ideas off and talk about just so you get it off your chest, you know, that's good. But at the end of the day, you know, if you have to go to get some professional help, then go get that professional help because that's their job. That's what they're paid to do, is to help you to make sense of what's going on in your psyche and make sure that you're not going to be the next one going postal because you can't handle it, you know, and to be an environment where it's like you're not going to get condemned, but you're going to get help, and they're going to point you to the right people that's going to help you to get better so you can be the best you. So that way, you know, if something triggers you, it's like, okay, I'm not going to get all mad, but at the same time, I want to have a healthy dialogue, get an understanding of what's going on. And especially if the younger generation, if they're watching this like constantly all the time, I want to be that one person that has some good common sense left and be like, you know, hey, that's not right. That's not normal. This is not how you're supposed to grow up. This is not how you're supposed to live. But rather, you have a choice in the matter and make sure that you watch out for that brother or that sister, even if they don't have the same skin color as you, because they live in your neighborhood, because they live in your community, and you know that person, watch out for that person because you don't know what's going to happen to that person once they leave your sight. And
you know what I'm really annoyed right now? I'm so annoyed because we're all Americans, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we're fighting each other. We're not fighting foreign people. We're literally fighting each other right now.
Come on, Doc. Say that again in the back.
It's just so irritating and it pisses me off, man.
I know.
It's just like, why are we fighting each other? Why are you doing this to another American?
Like, I sometimes feel like, because I feel like Republicans kind of just like monopolize the terms like patriot, freedom, American, to the point that like if you're not Republican, therefore you're like not American. I mean, this is just like from just, you know, from what I like see like just through social media or like just even from like the news and stuff, and it's almost like because there's like that appearance from like, I guess Republicans, since they tend to mainly be mostly Caucasian, male, Christian, that anything that's like not that is easily defined as like not American. So like, even though like it's BS, even though it's like, you know, like, come on, like, you're not brand new. You've been in this country for like however long. Like, you know that there's other people and like other ideologies and other, you know, things of that nature. Like, like sometimes I wonder if that kind of has like, if that plays into it at all.
Yeah, it's interesting because I remember even seeing on Twitter like some people and black people who are like, imagine like being black and repping the American flag. Like people kind of thinking like, yeah, like that's corny, that's whatever. But I'm thinking like, might as well reclaim it and not like, people obviously like there's a very complicated relationship with the founding of America and the black community, which is why there's so much strife over the weekend about should we celebrate. And there were memes about like, oh, look at that guy, he celebrated 4th of July. And it was funny, but like some people want I feel like, yeah, like take it back. Like I'll wear the American flag scarf. I actually was at like an event. I mean, it was actually kind of like a low-key lounge party, so it was kind of funny. I was wearing it, and one girl came to me and she was like, I like your scarf. She's like, well, he's like, why are you wearing it? I feel like it's a very political statement. You're a black man. And I was just like, I just
being American is a political statement. How crazy.
Yeah.
How crazy.
Everything is so political right now.
Yeah, it's like in some of these deep black communities it can be like that. So I was just like, well, this was a candidate. This was actually back in actually, it was after he dropped. It was end of February, literally the last weekend of February before everything hit the fan with Corona, because my birthday was early March. So I was out, and I was just like, yeah, this was the candidate I was following. But I think like, hey, why not reclaim the flag? Because I mean, I think that's why also you're kind of getting the Republicans and conservatives monopolize it, because a lot of liberals are like, burn the flag, or like F America. And it's just like, we might as well take it back and just say, no, America is these things, these progressive values that we're pushing for. So, no, I was just kind of like, that would be like a way to kind of fight back. But a lot of people are kind of running from America, running from patriotism, because I guess they don't want to associate themselves with all these things and the colonizers and the genocide. And like, I understand, but I feel like that the powerful way is to kind of just reclaim it, like kind of like how you take certain stigmas or slur words, just reclaim it in your own image. Like, yeah, this is the American flag, Black Power.
It's our country too. It's just as much as our flag as it is their flag. And like, I was just thinking the other day, because like a lot of like news articles, like we've been seeing like a lot of like the Confederate flag, especially, and like somewhat of like Nazi flags or like Trump flags or what have you. And I was just thinking, it's like, like if they're so proud of this country, why don't they just fly our flag? Like, why don't they just, like, you could still go to NASCAR and just fly the American flag because it's an American sport. You can.
It's crazy because it's like, we're American, but it's like, can we be American but also still be really, proud of our own cultures too?
Right.
Why do I have to shed my culture to be a patriot? Why do I have to shed my culture to be an American? We need to recognize that Americans are more than just, patriotism. We're so much more than that. And I think that the Asian community coming together with the Black community is a beautiful thing, to be honest. It's long overdue. And I applaud it, honestly. Coming together, different cultures, and standing up for what is right. And saying, hey, we are American. But we are also this too.
Right.
So I know, Chad, we're gonna try to wind things down. We're gonna try to do our best. And y'all know how we get when we get in some good conversations. It could go past an hour. Okay, so we're gonna do the best. So
we can keep going if you want.
Some people gotta work in the morning.
Oh,
Some people gotta work in the morning. But no, Meta Jawbone, he asked a question. He said, what do we think about the NFL playing Let Every Voices Sing? What do we think about that? From the NFL.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't have a comment because I don't know what that is.
It's the Negro national anthem.
What?
Is
it?
Yeah, Lift Every Voice. Yeah.
I don't really pay attention to sports nowadays because I'm like, why?
For sports? Oh man.
Oh man.
I just feel like it's just one of those like little like low hanging fruit things to make it seem like they're doing stuff, and it's like I honestly don't think any Black person really like that's what they were gunning for, you know? It's like, oh, NFL better start playing Lift Every Voice and Sing, or you know, like screw this country. No. Like it's just like man. You know, like we clearly want like some sort of like, you know, police reform, but it's just like better training, just like
oh my god,
just be better. Like country, just be better.
I mean, it's about time. It's about time we be better. I mean,
Come on.
We can't ignore it anymore. You know, it's all coming out. Everything.
Yeah.
Literally.
How can it ever go back to the way it used to be? It can't. It has to be better.
No, it can.
Yeah.
Like what I don't understand is why do we still have the Confederate flags? They're gone.
Yeah, and like what still blows my mind to this day is like I didn't even know this until recently. The Confederacy literally lasted 5 years.
What?
Like, like the time
it
between
feels like it never went away.
Right. Like the time between Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3 was longer.
Nerd out.
Come on, man.
Man, the Yang Gang's so nerdy.
Yes.
I'm like, I couldn't believe it's like they're hanging on to this for the last 5 years.
Oh, that's all they have. Their flag.
They were traitors. I don't get it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why.
Come on. Oh man.
Oh man. Thank you so much, Shaz.
This was a lot of fun.
Love you guys to
Yes.
death doing this.
If you guys want it back, we'll come back.
Yes.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
We should definitely do a part 2 of this.
Sure.
It was freaking amazing. All right, guys. Remember, donate to Erica.
Yes. Yes.
Donate
She's
to
in the
her.
chat. Love you, Erica. Mwah.
Our gem, our Yang Gang gem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like the first time that I met Erica, she was like, I was telling, hey, you should go to Iowa, and it's like, I can't. I need to. I'm so busy with school and stuff. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then I kind of started convincing her to do more for the Yang Gang, and I feel bad because like a few months after that, Yang dropped out.
That was hurtful for like I remember seeing on Reddit this one dude like donated I don't know how much money to like this super PAC or something. It was like 10 grand.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
It was a lot.
Yeah, it was like 10 grand. And I was just like, and then like, just like, I think like a month or a couple weeks later, Yang drops. I was like, oh my goodness, this man's money. I think hopefully he got it back. I don't know, but I really hope so.
Oh man.
I hope it went to I hope it went to humanity first. Humanity forward.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
Like they have somebody's rent for like a whole year.
Right?
Yeah.
Jeez. I think I know somebody that donated 200,000.
What?
200,000.
200,000.
Oh yeah, I heard.
Like 5 zeros.
Yes. And I was like, wow, this person must have been rich or something.
I know, like these people, man.
Jeez.
People just
It's insane that people have the pocket change for that. Let me go toss
Right.
200, at this random person. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like some of us are like, geez.
Make it rain.
I have $1.
This random person.
It's hot.
Oh, my glass is fogged up already.
Oh man.
It is hot. Oh my gosh.
What do you
All
guys
right.
think of this, the duo, whatever thing? The
Dark Horse duo.
Oh gosh.
Oh, the Dark Horse duo.
We gotta say that for listen. Okay.
That's another
We
night.
Okay,
We
another
might do that for another night. Yes,
It
because
almost
I know-
came up last week. We tabled it last week with Fred the felon, and then this week it's coming up again, and it's like, oh my goodness.
It's literally
Okay.
like the most controversial topic within the Yang Gang right now. Like
Yeah.
I just can't. We can't fit it in.
Yes.
So part 2, guys.
Part
Oh
2.
yeah, for sure.
Part 2.
You gotta do that
I'll come back. I'll definitely come back.
Yeah, 'cause I know,
Yes.
I know
Sure.
with Fred, he wants to be a part of that dark horse duo conversation, and we told him like, dude, when we have it, you gotta come back.
Man,
So, yeah.
you were worried about cuss words before when we get talking to Dark Horse Duo.
So in that case, kids go to bed.
We might be throwing
People
punches.
watching this?
People still watching? No, yeah, there's people still watching.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there are people who will watch all the way.
Oh yeah. All right. So
Those guys are the real MVPs.
Yeah.
yes. Oh my gosh, I'm hot. It is humid here in Michigan. It is humid.
Oh.
I'm sweating.
That's wild.
Yes. It is humid. Okay.
Because of the solar flares.
Possibly.
Oh, I didn't know it was a thing.
Coffee, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're having way too much fun.
Yeah.
And how the gang rolls.
I regret trying to end this now.
I mean, like, we already told the audience that there's going to be a part 2, so there you
Oh,
go.
no.
Oh,
I just gotta hit the end button. Okay, you guys, we gotta go. All
Hula.
Aloha.
right, we love you. Again, like, subscribe. For those that have already liked and subscribed, thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you haven't done it, please do so. And I know that Gift, don't you have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, but I don't really use it. I mean, I've been busy with looking for a job and doing the Yang Gang Quest game. And I'm also writing now because it helps me relax.
Same.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, you still want to promote it? That's it. We still want to promote it.
Okay, well,
Dreams.
if you want me to promote, I started a podcast with a friend called Cash Strap Podcast because we're both broke people.
I love the name.
Yeah, you get it? Cash strapped. Yeah. And we're still making episodes, and I don't know when we'll release it, but if you guys listen to that, I would appreciate it.
All right. Well, so we'll pretty much, I'll get with you, or Genie will get with you. We'll both get with you, and then we'll get that link so we can post it in this episode. Shaz, do you have a YouTube? Anything going on outside of Twitter?
Not yet. I am a musician, so I will be putting music out here sometime soon. I'm just trying to get the right equipment for it.
Link to the SoundCloud.
Stay tuned.
There we
Yeah,
go. So,
Yeah, Shaz, definitely work on that. As someone who went viral and had nothing to promote, I really, I really suggest you get on that.
I better get on it then.
yes. And so whenever you get that link, we'll connect and we'll post it in this here episode. Again, you guys, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for coming. For those that are still watching, thank you guys for watching. We love you guys. Again, this is another edition. We will see you next week.
Peace.
We out.
Peace.
Yeah.
Hey.